Hi listeners, welcome to today's episode of Show Me Your Hustle. Today I am sitting down with Travis Scott. Travis, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently working on?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and I haven't really come up with another title for myself. It changes all the time, but of Rainier RevOps, formerly Rainier Digital, based in Spokane, Washington. Where I focus a lot on RevOps strategy, and I'm a HubSpot Platinum partner. So do a lot of HubSpot onboarding and integrations and implementations, and also have a nonprofit called Cycling on Purpose, and plan to ride my bike 2,800 miles this summer from Spokane to Indianapolis, where I'm originally from. For youth mental health.
Wow, that's awesome. I definitely want to dive into how you got there, but let's start with Rainier first. So how did you start?
Oh man. I initially started Rainier Digital back in 2009, I believe. Okay. I was formerly a recruiter, just by happenstance, just kind of got into it somehow and fought like hell to get out, into marketing, which is where my graduate degree was focused on. And I did that just basically so I could start taking on projects and just learn and start to get some experience. Started really early on with paid media, paid search mostly, and then paid social as it became more of a thing. And the economy was crap then, and so needed to also kind of buffer myself for anything that might happen then. And then kept it around. Continuing to do side projects, eventually ended up working at Microsoft full-time as a recruiter. Tried to implement some recruitment marketing stuff. But when you work at a company that large, it's hard to make change happen on an individual or small team level. Ended up writing a book about recruitment marketing because I had a lot of ideas and wanted to just kind of explore it through some research and interviews. And then became a director of marketing for a company based in Denver, and then eventually went back to Rainier Digital full-time in 2021. My focus really was revenue operations, marketing ops, and no longer really paid media. So did a rebrand, and that's how I started and got to now.
I love it. What was the biggest pivot moment as a founder that you've gone through?
Oh man, there's a lot, and there's always something. I don't think that ever stops. I would say when I left my director role, 2021. It was a very safe, stable role. No threat of really losing my job for anything. It's kind of recession proof. Survived the pandemic and actually kind of thrived during the pandemic because we actually it was a medical component. We had a medical component piece of it and ended up working with Ford when they were making ventilators during that time. So leaving that kind of environment, moving back into working for myself and what was different this time versus back in 2014 when I had done it after leaving Microsoft for a period of time was now I have a mortgage and kids, and the stakes were much higher. I was pivoting into something that I had a decent understanding of, but there was a learning curve to really diving deep into to revenue operations. And I think the biggest challenge or the biggest thing that I experienced was, prior to that, I was very active on LinkedIn, and writing. I'd just written a book, was on there a lot, engaging, writing, posting. Mm-hmm. And then the minute I left my other company to jump back in to Rainier RevOps, the imposter syndrome was insane. I felt like I knew nothing when it wasn't true, but now I felt like the stakes were higher. I needed to make sure I knew what I was talking about, which no one ever does. So that was not realistic. And I became a big believer in Maslow's hierarchy at that point, because I feel like I was on the upper end of that towards self-actualization, and then got bumped right down to the security piece of it, which really affected me. So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing that I had to undergo.
Yeah, I hear that all the time from founders, and it's almost like, oh, you're normal. Like we all live that. We all have that. I want to dive in a little bit on your nonprofit piece.
Sure.
How did you get there? Like what was the idea behind it, and you're writing across the country?
Yeah. So 2023 and a lot of 2024, I was dealing with my own depression and anxiety through some events that happened in 2023. One being losing my cousin Brent, who was only 52, to a heart condition that was very unexpected. And he was an avid cyclist, and I used to be before kids and that mortgage and a business. And so last August, went back to Indianapolis for kind of a fundraiser for a scholarship fund that was set up in his name. And there was a silent auction. A lot of the stuff was his stuff. And I won. My wife doesn't like me saying that because I actually bought his Trek Madone road bike. And in that moment, there may have been some margaritas influencing things, but I just kind of felt this sense of purpose to ride his bike back to Indy the following summer, this summer, to honor him and to do something I've always wanted to do, which is ride across the country.
Yeah.
And once I kind of developed that purpose, and a purpose that was really bigger than me, it was really about him, I started to come out of that depression. And things really changed. And I realized at that point how impactful finding a purpose is, combined with resiliency, right? To get through the ups and downs. And so, I have three boys. I worry all the time about their future mental health. And I've wanted to really do something purposeful with my career and things of that nature. And so decided, hey, I just came out of this. I found that discovering a purpose of any kind of meaning, is powerful. So what if I could help kids and teens understand the power of purpose, how to find and discover a purpose in their life, which will change, but and talk about being resilient, right? And help them become more resilient. And so took that opportunity, started Cycling on Purpose last fall, and decided that I was going to kind of roll that into this ride as well, as a way to raise awareness, show in real time resiliency, and overcoming mental challenges, right? Ups and downs, things I can't control. And that's going to be the toughest part for me because I like to know ahead of time what I'm dealing with. And then I plan to, the towns and cities that I will kind of stay overnight in, I plan to host some workshops and just community engagement with people at either a local library or somewhere. To kind of talk about the current state of youth mental health and share some resources and some tools that they can use. And it'll be for parents, educators, anyone in the communities that's interested. And then I bring in copies of several books that I think are really
that's amazing,
useful to then give to the libraries if they don't have them in stock. And if they do, they'll have extra copies at that point to check out.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of.
So with your ride, are you solo? Who's going with you, or how? What does the logistics look like?
Yeah, I've been working on the logistics for a while, and actually this morning still kind of finalizing where I'm going to stay, booking campsites and hotels. I'm solo as far as riding. But anyone that wants to ride with me during any part of the segment, in any segment I'm on, I will accept them with open arms because it's much more fun to ride with other people.
Totally.
But it is a supported ride, meaning that I'll have someone in a vehicle, not really following me, but nearby, right?
Yeah.
Within a 5-mile range to provide support. I leave next Thursday on June 12th. And we'll actually be coming home, sleeping in my own bed for the first 2 nights because I'll only get maybe about 100 miles away max. And want to see my kids as much as possible before I'm too far to come home because I won't see them for about 2 months. So, and then after that, it's mostly hotels, cabins, and things as I work my way through Montana and into Wyoming. And then once we get out of grizzly territory, then we'll start camping a lot more. So I just did not want to have to worry about sleeping and eating with grizzlies in the area on top of riding 60, 70 miles a day. So.
Wow. What would be your advice to anyone who's wanting to start their own thing and just, you took this risk to leave safe corporate. What was your thought or advice to yourself?
I initially did it just because I wanted more flexibility, more freedom. Not just in not having to ask permission to go see my family in Indiana, when I needed to. But really flexibility to work on different things, work with different companies, experience different things. I love learning, crave it, and I get bored if I'm kind of in the same thing, doing the same thing day after day. And so that's why I did it. Advice is learn to be resilient, just like I'm teaching kids and teens, because it's going to be ups and downs, right? You're going to have great times, but you're going to have down times. You're going to have to do things within the business that you may not like doing, you know, accounting and invoicing and all the business stuff. And then probably the biggest thing, and this is probably where my imposter syndrome came from, is stop comparing yourself to other people, right? And I think it's hard on places like LinkedIn, right? And you see these people, and just like anything, whether they're professionals or professional athletes, you know, when you get to a certain point and you've put in the time, it looks easy. when people see you doing it. But what they don't see is that time, the amount of time you spent learning and just diving into it, failing, figuring things out, right? And so just know that whoever you're trying to compare yourself to was once at the same place you were, and they were feeling the same way. And then just also understand what makes you unique in what you can offer. You know, we all may be doing the same thing, but the way we got there is almost entirely different for everyone. We had different experiences, worked at different kinds of companies, have done different extracurricular things, have different hobbies, all things that can tie in and give us different perspectives and make us unique in the market. And so understand and try to discover what those are, and that's gonna help set you apart.
I love that, and just so raw. Thank you. Well, Travis, this was super exciting to hear your story. I am excited to follow along on LinkedIn. I'm assuming you'll be sharing the whole ride story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Started to document the training and stuff on LinkedIn, Instagram. On LinkedIn, it's mostly my personal LinkedIn, but have a Cycling on Purpose is the handle for basically all the other socials. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Doing YouTube shorts, and we'll each week compile kind of more of a vlog type of update on the prior week, upcoming week, and then share kind of B-roll and clips from the prior week. So
I love it. Well, I'm excited to follow along. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck.
Yeah, thanks.